So collections, collections, collections. I did a three-stage collection where I had three major things in Magic the Gathering that I wanted to accomplish. My first stage was getting one of the first seven sets from 93 to 94 of Magic and getting one Gem Mint 10 graded from each of the sets to show the changes between Alpha and Legends. And that was many, many years of hunting to get them. And I got them. And that was stage one. And I was so happy. I got that done. And then I said, my second stage, I want to go back through and get one of every set, one card from every set from 93 to 99, and at least have one, there's many in my decks, but one of each of the sets from Alpha all the way up to the last one was actually Euro Lands, which even though it was 20 or 2000, it was still copyrighted 99. So I just in 2025 officially finished that second stage. My third stage is actually very simple. The second stage was the hardest. That took the longest amount of years to hunt down ones that worked with my deck and make them come from the sets. Just to say, you have one of every vintage. I know a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, well, I got the Power 9. That's great. Any idiot with money can buy the Power 9. I sold the Power 9 twice to put money back into my collection because I don't use the Power 9. Yeah, they're iconic. They're great. They're the most expensive. But you know what? If I handed you $2 million today, you could not get these 7 cards, not because of their cost, but because they don't exist in Gem Mint 10. I go by rarity of how hard they are to get, not how expensive they are. And I'm also not collecting for monetary gain. But that was stage 2, was getting every one. And then basically those, it's missing the black deck because I'm working on it right now. But those 4 and then the black deck, the 5, are my campaign decks for Dungeons and Dragons. So that's each color. The purple is actually a black and white Egyptian deck, which is it's actually the first deck I ever made, added with newer cards to get it to be an Egyptian style. And then the ones in the front, also missing the black and the purple because I'm working on them, are my Brawl decks. Those are the decks, also primarily vintage, but they're the decks for common play. The leatherettes are never used unless you're dealing with the campaign for Dungeons and Dragons on the game table. So essentially, my third mission, really, it's simple. It's Underground Sea. I had sold my Underground Sea many years back to put the money back into getting what I wanted. So I think I want to do a revised Underground Sea and a castle. Both white border. It's the one time, and I'm not a white border fan, but they look better in white border. So let's talk about collections in general. When you are a kid, you collect everything that you're interested in. That's actually my first toy, the speeder bike with the Scout and the Ewok. And usually up until your late teens, early 20s, you tend to collect everything. And then at some point between your 20s and your 30s, you wind up realizing some of them may not be as interesting, as you thought they were when you were collecting them. So you turn around and by the time you get to your middle age, you start thinking, well, let's pick the ones that are the most important to me. So that's what I did. I took everything short of my first toy and a few other little knickknacks here and there, and I sold them all to put the money back into the 3 things that meant something to me. So I went and got my favorite guitar and all its equipment, the best that I found throughout all the years of my life. And I made a nice little music studio set up here in the living room. And then I took all the rest of my energy and money to get my Dungeons and Dragons. And not many books, because most of the stuff I wrote. But I got a whole shelf of equipment. Actually, a whole house of equipment, but we won't go there. And after the music and D&D, obviously, it's the magic. But magic is obviously the most expensive of the three hobbies. Got my coffin case. But if you look up here, I have the only 3 complete sets I have, which is the starter set, the Dutch starter set, and Graveborn. Everything else, other than like starter or not starter, but the special editions they have out now, they come like five cards in a pack, so those I don't count as full sets. Then we come down here. The only 2 that I have that are what you call proxies, we call tokens, is my Guru Swamp, which is why I named that Joust Guru. It has the little pieces for the game. And then the second one I have a token for is, you can't see it, but it's CGC 95, The Abyss, Pete Venters. So those 2 are the only 2 tokens I have in my whole collection, because I don't have 2 of them to put in the decks, and I sure as hell wasn't going to take the rarest basic land known to man that's a grade 9, and that's a true 9. I wasn't going to take that out of its slab. There's no need for it. But I also got this set up. I got Squee coming on his way. And I did, this is what kicked off my after library. When Dominaria United 2022 happened, Stained Glass really drew me in. There's my, that's the only Magic the Gathering battle mat that's actually been to battle. That's been in Iraq with me. So that's a hell of a mat. Down here we have the Tombstone, which is actually just, I created that and slotted it because I have this card coming in to go in it. This is Coffin Purge. And once this gets here, it has that little coffin icon, which, or not coffin, the Tombstone icon. Basically, there were 3 sets. I think they were Odyssey, Torment, and Judgment. Had those little tombstones to tell you that they were interactive when they were in your grave. I guess that didn't go too well, so they got rid of it. I also, with the magic dice, the spin down dice, I only collect the ones that had a pertinent meaning and added something to the game. So I don't have every dice from every set. I actually keep it in my magic book that explains the history of magic and everything, so it tells you which ones are the dice I collected and why I collected them. Because I thought it would be silly to try being a completionist when I'd rather just have the ones that mean something. But this book gives you a little bit of history, like it shows you the original arrows and then the remakes. And I used the real cards when I did the book setup, because there were a lot of nice things I didn't want to just put in binders. Anyone that remembers that from Unglued. Now, my collection is unique in the fact that I don't have the most expensive or the most amount of cards, but I have unique in the fact that not one of them is under a true grade 9. So every card I have in my collection is 9 or higher. So, you know, it's just something. One day I got to figure out a way to make PDF video, like make that whole book into a PDF and then make it into a video so I can have everyone read it, because it's not just fair for just the people playing the campaign to see it. But, yeah, there's a lot going on. The plaque for the Underground Sea is actually already created. it's going to go right there. So that's going to be the creme de la creme, end of the mission. Wow, it's been a long run, but 2025 marked the time when Magic definitely kept me going. I got my Liliana tribute with all her pertinent cards. Those cards are actually from Eliwick, who's actually in my campaign, my D&D campaign. And then, oh, look at that. That is the first true waterbed with a real waterbed in there for D&D. But this is the last display, and I named it Perspective, made it look like a map. And the reason it says Perspective is that's a real, obviously graded card. That's a real card. And that's a fake. So I could show people how to determine, you know, with all the tests we do. But the irony is, if you look on the left, that pin is actually a real Wizards of the Coast, and the one on the right is a fake. It's a third party. And the reason it's called Perspective is I feel the aftermarket was done nicer. So everything's perspective. A lot of people like tokens. A lot of people like proxies. I do not allow proxies. I don't like proxies. I do what's called a token, where you put a real double-sided card in with the name of it on, and then when you pull that card out of your deck, you can put a token in its place. But I don't allow proxies that look like real cards in gameplay. So, you know, it's a fun ride, but I'm glad I got the last third stage. Will not be, it'll be expensive, but it won't be hard to get.